Hey everyone, and welcome to the Q&A. Okay, let's just jump right into it. Question number 1 comes from Pussy Boss. Why are you adding "Let's not meet again" at the end of every story? Well, no, I'm not adding it. I've had this question a few times, so I'm just using that one as an example. And it's actually in the story, if I say it. I have occasionally removed it, but those have been very extreme cases when I thought it's just ended so well that coming after hasn't really fit. As a rule, when I'm reading stories, I think it's not a good idea to change people's words, and I would never do that unless someone says to me, go ahead, you can feel free to change what you like. Or, I'm not a very good writer, so feel free to rewrite it. But even in those cases, I don't really do a lot in regards to changing. A few words here and there. Maybe if something isn't grammatically correct, I'll tweak that. But by and large, I try and read things word for word. Okay, what do we got next? Let's see. Okay, question number 2 comes from Eliana Watson. What is the story that freaked you out the most? Of course, if any even did freak you out. Yes, well, of course. I do not get afraid. No. I make others afraid. Okay, there actually was one story that did freak me out so much I just, I didn't even go so far as asking if I could use it. I won't go into details of it, but it involved child molesters and it was a bit too graphic. So I decided, no, that's not one I need to have on my channel. And I have had a few things that have, I've had some references to that sort of thing on my channel, but this was too graphic in its detail. So I skipped that particular story. Okay, Heather F asks, what exactly does one store in their hell freezer? Popsicles. Someone's greedy. Okay, Darren O'Brien has 2 questions. Where are you from? There's a few other people who have asked this, so I'll skip that one just now. How many subscribers do you hope to have by this time next year? Well, I was hoping to have by the end of the year 10,000 subscribers. And I've hit that. Then I moved my goal to, well, maybe if I work super duper hard, I'll hit 20,000. And I'm doing quite well towards that as of recording this. Hang on, go on to YouTube and I'll see what the number is. I think it's about 18,200 and something. Internet, don't fail me now. Yeah, almost 18,200. So if I'm very lucky, I'll have hit that by the end of the year. But this time next year, I don't know. I wouldn't even want to speculate. I mean, my ultimate goal is to get to 100,000. That's where I want to go, and I'll be happy if it never gets any bigger than that. Because the next milestone, as far as YouTube goes, because you get 100,000, you get the silver play button, and that's what I'm after. And the next one after that is 1 million subscribers, so you get the gold play button, and I'm never going to get there. That's just never going to happen. And I don't say that in a self-deprecating way, it's just being realistic. I don't think it's ever going to happen for me. But I do sincerely believe I can get to 100,000 with a lot of work. So, this time next year, hopefully I'll be at least halfway there. At least halfway there. Given how well I've done since I started this, when did I start this? Started in November last year. And I'm very pleased and very surprised with the progress I've made since then. So, we'll see. Maybe I'll have hit 50,000, you never know, by this time next year. Okay, next question. Ann R asks, what is your favourite type of music? Well, I like lots of different kinds of music. I like quite a large mix. But what I listen to most often is probably just musicians, stripped down kind of things with an acoustic guitar. That's one of the things I love about YouTube, actually. And that's why I first set up a YouTube account, so I could subscribe to musicians. So some of my favourite people that do that sort of thing are, like, you've got Kina Grannis, there's Kate McGill, and then you've got Autopilot. They do wonderful things like that as well. And actually, let me have a look at my subscriptions. Mention a few others I happen to like. Come on, there we are, subscriptions. Oh yeah, and then you've got guys like Alex Cornell. I'm just naming random names here, really, because there's too many to go through all of them. Ashton Lane, they're quite good. Yeah, these guys I just saw, they don't really do acoustic stuff exactly, but they're called the Cuban Brothers, and they did a wonderful version of that Jermaine Stewart song, We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off. No, it was wonderful. There was clothes taking off in the video, just in case anyone's going to check it out. Well, that's the interesting thing. When I did first set up my YouTube account, it was just musicians. And gradually over the years, I think the first non-musician I subscribed to was Stuart Ashens, his channel Ashens. He does reviews of various interesting things, he's recently, in the last little while he's been doing out-of-date food, like really out-of-date food, which is interesting to see how it's held up over time. And from there, I only actually recently started following vloggers. It was just something that never appealed to me before. But out of sheer boredom, I found myself, surfing YouTube one night, and I came across... oh dear, who was the first one I came across? I think I might have stumbled across an Emma Blackery video, and I was quite taken with her content, like the sketches, like the actual vlogging part of it. I wasn't too fond of the beauty stuff, although I was so bored one night I actually ended up watching most of those videos anyway. I don't wear makeup, but it was still interesting enough. It kept me engaged for a night. And from there I discovered, obviously you find one person that does something you like, you then have a look through and you discover other people. So from there I found Dodie Clark and various others. But yes, I was talking about musicians I follow. Well, back in the early days you also had, there was people like Caitlin Hart, Madeline Bailey. A lot of them I found through Jake Coco, who's, well, I guess he's a producer, but he's also a musician himself. I think it's right to say he's a producer. He certainly seems to have that, a hand in a lot of the music that goes on out there on YouTube. Okay. Better move on to the next question now. Let's see. Miss M, do you have any pets? If so, let us know about them. I do not have any pets. I have an empty fish tank. What I really need to do with that tank is I need to clear everything out, get rid of everything, because it was actually my father's fish tank, and when he passed away, I did my best to keep it up, and well, my father passed away in 2005, the tank finally, everything died off. I woke up one day and just found all my fish were dead. Everything died off. It was a couple of years ago now, so I kept it going for a while. I think I kept it going for about 8 years. And that's probably my fault, because every now and again my father would buy other fish and just introduce new fish into the tank, and that's not something I did. I maintained it, I fed them, I cleaned it out now and again when it was necessary, and I'd put the little drops when they got sick, but well, this last time it just seemed to be a massive infection that wiped out everything all at once. So it's something I need to take care of, because the tank is there, it's not going anywhere. So it's a bit sad to have it empty. It would have broke my father's heart if he'd seen that. It would also have broke his heart if he'd seen the state of the gardens that I've got into, but well, that's another thing I need to fix gradually. Okay, and let's yeah, growing up, I never really had any pets either, but my sister did have a couple of dogs. But she's always been more of a kind of a dog person than I am, and she's actually got a dog now. So with that, I get to enjoy all the love and the affection of being a dog owner without actually having to take it on walks or feed it or put up with the pooping or anything like that. It's a bit like being an uncle, actually. Okay, next question. Linda Rodriguez, what is your greatest fear? Holy butts. Alright, don't softball it or anything there, Linda. My greatest fear, well, I'm not going to tell you that. I will tell you something that does scare me. It's when I see like distortions of the human form. So like body horror, if you understand what I'm talking about. Like your Cronenberg kind of thing. Or there was an episode of Fringe. There was a couple of episodes of Fringe where they you had like the red verse, and then was Our Earth blue? And we had the two universes. The other one was like the red verse, the red Earth. That's what they called it, just to differentiate them. And people would occasionally merge with their counterparts, but it wouldn't be a perfect thing. So yeah, they'd all end up distorted with like two heads and faces and things, and that sort of thing just freaks me the hell out. It's just that initial primal, it gets you right down in the soul. But again, it's the sort of thing that I could get used to. Okay, moving on, next question. Right, this one I don't think was specifically meant for the Q&A, but I'm going to bring it up anyway, just because I think it was a good question. Miles White, who actually looks like he's in the Proclaimers. Then again, it's a tiny picture. Hey, I have a question. Is it important to like videos? Does it do anything? Or is it just for show? I sub to people I like, but I've never liked videos because I thought it was just a fluff thing. Now, I did actually answer this in the comments. But, just for anyone who's wondering, yes, it actually is very important to like videos. That's why I'm so grateful for the people that do. I'm so happy to actually see all my likes have gone up recently. And the reason it's important to like them is because it helps push the video up in the search results. The more activity you have on a video, so the more likes, the more comments you have, or even, as I'm led to believe, I haven't looked into this more thoroughly, I'm led to believe even dislikes will count as interaction with your video, so it will still help push it higher in the results. And that helps you in turn get more views. Ironically, the more activity you have on a video, the more activity you will get on a video. Kind of an awkward way to work things, but that is the way it works. Okay, Stuart Maxwell. Hi, I'm from Scotland. Oh, hang on. I'd better attempt a Scottish accent. Haha. Hi, I'm from Scotland. Do you still stay here? You sound like you're from East Central. I'm in West Central, anyway. Good luck on your channel. Yeah, actually, I do still stay in Scotland. I've never actually lived anywhere else, and to be honest with you, I can't really see myself living in another country. I might visit certain places. First, I'd like to go to America one day, but that's been a dream I've had since I was a kid, but I don't know if I'll ever achieve it, because there's not really any point in me just going over to another country just for the sake of the trip. I'd need a reason to go there. And I'd kind of want people there, because I'm not the most sociable of people, but I do still get lonely. So I like to have people to interact with now and again. Then I can go away when I'm done interacting. So yeah, for now, I stay in Scotland. It's probably always going to be where I return to, but hopefully one day there will be some travelling in my future, if there's a good reason for it. And I'm very sorry for my atrocious Scottish accent there. Okay, moving on. Brant Sims. What is a TIFU? What's a TIFU with you? Well, a TIFU is Today I Fucked Up. I'm just throwing in some of the frequently asked questions in here as well. Today I Fucked Up. It's the name of a subreddit. That's where I get the embarrassing stories from. Always looking to expand beyond that though. And they're not all funny. I should actually say that if you're going there looking for all funny stories. Some of them are kind of sad. Not pathetic sad, but just sad and they break your heart. And there's also a few associated subreddits that go with that I've looked at, but I don't think they really fit the channel. So that's what TIFU is. Or TIFU, as I generally say. Martin Lampron, how old are you? I think that one's coming up a bit later. What kind of hobbies do you have outside of doing YouTube? Ah, well, glad you asked. I have no life. Moving on. No. Well, I like to play guitar. I do write on occasion. Keep having excuses not to write though. My laptop's not working, so fix the laptop. Oh, needs a new keyboard, so once I get a new keyboard I'll have no excuses for that. I also like to repair broken computers, cell phones, that sort of thing. It's a hobby I stumbled into through necessity, simply because I've managed to break a couple of phones over the years and could not afford to pay someone else to get them fixed, but I could afford the parts, and I've actually been able to repair them by and by. The only one I haven't been able to repair fully was a little Xperia J phone I had. I did repair it, get it working, but ultimately it turned out the problem was the motherboard, because it had taken a bath, and phones aren't meant to take baths for some reason. Don't know why. Let me think, what other hobbies? Oh yeah, I enjoy cooking. What kind of things do I like to cook, just in case anyone's wondering? I tend to go for a lot of desserts. I like to make tablet. And that's a very Scottish answer. If anyone's never tried tablet, it tastes kind of like fudge in a way. It's the kind of taste you're going for, except it's harder. It's mostly sugar. It's made of condensed milk and a bag of sugar. Then you add butter to it, and you probably want to put some vanilla essence, extract flavouring. Something like that would go in there. And last time I made it, I actually threw some chocolate in towards the end, and it was very, very nice indeed. That. Also enjoy baking cakes. And I mentioned a while ago I was going to attempt vegan mac and cheese, and I made it. It was edible. Wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it was edible. And I thought to myself, I could probably do better, simply for my own taste buds. So I then tried it again, and this time I changed the recipe a little bit. I substituted some ingredients for others. I took out carrots, I put in cauliflower, just thinking the flavours that would go well together. And I generally, when I make macaroni and cheese, like proper mac and cheese, I usually like to put mushrooms in it. Anyway, I didn't do that the last time. So I made this up. Once you have the method of something done, you can mess about with the recipe anyway. And the first time I'd managed to work out the method of it. So I then tried my other version of it, changed some, put less of certain things, more of other things in. Ate the sauce, and it's not bad. Again, still not great, but not bad. So I went ahead and finished it off. Cooked my pasta, sliced up some chestnut mushrooms, tossed them in with them while they were cooking. And something magical happened. I don't know specifically what it was, but when I blended the sauce together with the pasta and the mushrooms, which I had cooked together, those flavours combined made it awesome. And it even actually did taste like mac and cheese, which is obviously what you want. And I have to say, it actually sat a lot better with me than mac and cheese does, because occasionally I get some tummy troubles, and I need to avoid things that are like that now and again, but this actually sat with me quite well. Right, I have no idea what the question was. Oh yeah, hobbies. Well, there you go. That's some of my hobbies. Right, moving on. Oh, that question was asked by Everett, in case I forgot to mention. Let's see, King's Book asks, here's a question for your Q&A. What channels influenced you to begin narrating? Do you listen to other channels? Okay, let me think. I started listening to narrating the same way a lot of you did. Boredom. Can't remember what it was. I wasn't looking for horror stories. I was looking for something, and I think I just stumbled across it, clicked on one, and I'm fairly sure, don't quote me, but I'm fairly sure it was a Lazy Masquerade video. And I love Lazy Masquerade stuff. So I went through his videos, and from Lazy, I think the next one I discovered then was Bebusta. Although before I actually clicked on the video and heard his voice, I thought he was Spanish. I thought it was Bebusta. Bebusta, like me gusta, but no. Turns out no, he's definitely not Spanish, and I very much enjoyed his content. And from there I found people like Corpse Husband, King Spook, Urmaker, then there was people like Moristar, Mad Mike, and I'm certain I'm probably leaving out many others, but I did listen to a lot of them. Unfortunately, since I started doing my own, I don't listen to them as often, simply because I'm busy trying to get my own made, but I do still listen now and again. Actually, interestingly, it was, let me think, I think it was Urmaker that was the one. He put a video up. Yeah, he put a video up called, hang on, I'll just check the title of it. Yes, it was Urmaker. It's called How to Make YouTube Videos with Subpar Equipment. And when I saw that, I thought to myself, I have subpar equipment. Because until then I'd been thinking, I'd like to try that, but just can't afford to buy the kind of equipment these guys must be using, to get those good results. And then I saw Urmaker's video, and he was using a broken. I'll try and remember to link to it in the description. If I don't, someone yell at me and I'll add it. He was using an old cell phone, and I was using, not an old cell phone. I was using a new cell phone. I was using my Asus Zenfone 2, which had a pretty decent mic on it for a phone, but still was a phone mic. And I was fortunate enough that I actually did have, I believe Urmaker at the time in that video was recommending using Windows Movie Maker, and also a broken tablet. Well, I didn't have a tablet, certainly couldn't afford one, but I was able to you know, just load the stories up on my computer screen, just kind of half the windows. It's not ideal doing that, but we'll get into that a bit later. I'll tell you how I started doing it then I'll tell you how I'm doing it now. This video is going to be long. I thought this video would be 5 minutes, but it's probably going to be a lot longer than that. So what I did back then is I didn't have the tablet, so I just kind of split the screens. I had the stories come up on one half of the screen, and I would then record, initially recording on my phone, and once the channel started to do well, I wasn't doing well, but you know, I started to get views, and I thought to myself, okay, people are watching. It would be worth my while to buy a proper microphone. So I looked about to see what I could afford at the time. And the first mic I got was a Behringer, but I think it's actually pronounced Behringer CO1U. Now that's a USB version of that particular microphone, and I'll be honest with you, it works. You can hear the videos, you can hear that it works. You can certainly hear the improvement in the quality. And so at that point I was recording directly into my computer rather than recording the stories all at once, mistakes and all, then loading it up into Audacity and cutting everything out. This time I was just using, I was plugging it into the computer and I was using Audacity to do the actual recording, which actually improved the overall audio quality of my videos. And it also made recording a lot quicker because I could cut out the biggest mistakes as I go. I could then check through it and remove anything that was a problem after that. And from there, went along for a few more months, and the channel was starting to do better and better. And I decided, you know what, this is a hobby, something I enjoy. I seem to do this more often than anything else. And by that point, I was actually starting to upload more and more days, because I didn't start off uploading every day. I then decided, you know what, time to get a really good mic. So I'd been researching before I actually bought the Behringer one, or Behringer, whatever. Okay, I'd been researching, and I decided that I really wanted the Rode NT1A, right? That's a really good microphone. And to work that, you'd need something called phantom power, right? So what happens is you then get an audio interface that has phantom power on it, and you plug that into the USB port in your computer. You plug your microphone using an XLR cable into the unit. So I got the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. Best thing I ever did. Took me a bit of tinkering around, and that actually came with some decent audio software as well. A bit of tinkering around to get the results I wanted, and so glad I did, because it massively improved the quality of my videos, which wasn't actually too bad at that point. And that's where I am right now. I also did manage to find in the local Argos when they were having one of the little sales, which of course they do frequently. I managed to get a semi-decent tablet. It was a Lenovo one at a reasonable price, and I now use that for reading the stories off of. And again, it's one of those things, it's not essential, but for my own purposes I find it a lot more convenient, because it means I can have my DAW, it's a digital audio workstation. I can have that full screen on my desktop, and I can then have the stories on my tablet. And it actually improves the speed at which I work. And I find it's much more comfortable recording that way. And at the moment, I'm generally looking into other things I might like to improve my setup. But for the moment, yeah, the results I'm getting are pretty good. And that's one long-ass answer to a fairly short question. Okay, next question. Are there any more? Let's see. Well, that's any pets that was already asked. But thank you, Lily. I appreciate you asking. Olivia Penna. Questions. How old are you? What do you look like? What do you like to do in your free time? Right, I believe I answered the hobbies one, so that'll cover that. Did I answer the how old are you? Not sure. Anyway, from the dawn of time I came, moving silently down among you. No, that's not right. That's Highlander. I'm 34. I'll be 35 next month. What do you look like? I look like shit. Okay, what do I look like? I'm 5'10". Very white. Very pale. Probably would be less pale if I went out in the sun more. And probably a little chubbier than I'd like to be. Thinning hair. Ladies, calm yourselves. And that's about as much as I'm going to say. Just in case I tempt fate, I don't think anyone would stalk me, but you never know. I'm not suggesting Olivia would stalk me, but takes all sorts. Alright, next question. Oh dear. Nightwolf 1974 asks, do you have furries over there? Well, that's random. And what is your view of the furry fandom? Honestly, mate, couldn't care less. I'm a big believer in the you do you philosophy. I can't imagine they harm anyone. They like to dress up in animal suits and whatever it is they do with each other, and best of luck to them. That's my view on furries, and yes, I believe we do have them over here. Okay. Lana Lindy, I think this is the last question. You have such a sexy voice. That's not a question, but okay. If I didn't know any better, I think you were Liam Neeson. Okay. At the end of one of your videos, please say, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. If you're looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have any money. But what I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you. If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you. No, I'm not saying that, and quite frankly, I'm getting a little bit fed up with people trying to trick me into doing it. That's it, this Q&A is over. And Honeycomb Steve asks, well, he asked quite a few questions, but I think I've covered most of them already. So, right. What's your favourite horror movie and all-round film? Ooh, right. I should probably have thought about this one before I try to answer it. Right, well, we'll get back to horror movie in a minute. Favourite all-round film? I'm not really good at picking favourites. I've got ones that I enjoy for a while more than anything else. Then I might move on to something else. It really depends what role it's filling in my life at that time. But I think one of my absolute favourite films is one called Peter's Friends. Right, it's a British film. It stars Stephen Fry, Kenneth Branagh, Emma Thompson, and various other people as well. And what it is, it's a story about this guy, Peter, and believe it or not, his friends. And they were all best buds when they were at university, and many years later they've all grown up, maybe drifted apart a little bit, some of them. And they all come back many years later to Peter's family estate. And he has an announcement to make, and the announcement is that he's actually very sick and he's going to pass away soon. And he wanted to spend time with his friends before it got too bad to enjoy it. Very similar, I think, perhaps, from what I've heard, to something called The Big Chill. But it is a quintessentially very British film. Well, then again, Stephen Fry's in it, he makes anything very British. As far as favourite horror goes, though, well, let me think, that would be probably the Friday the 13th series. Well, anything after the third one, that's when they started to get good. That's when Jason really became the kind of character, you know, the kind of iconic type of character he is now. That's a series of films, that's not a single one. Also, like, not technically a horror, I guess. Well, it depends on how you look at it. I wouldn't say it's a horror, though. Also really like The Mummy, the one with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz, John Hannah. Amazing film. That's one of my happy place films. It's the kind of thing I could watch it, and then go back to the beginning and watch it again. Something about it. Just it's the right blending of people at the right time. The humour's just right without going overboard. And the scary aspects are just scary enough. Okay. And this time, for like realsies and stuff, I'll bring this Q&A to a close. So thank you very much for spending a night in hell with me. So until next time, assuming you want me to do another one somewhere down the line, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.